Good afternoon and welcome to the Duluth Public Schools HR Business Service meeting for Tuesday, October 8th. We're starting today at 4:40. So we have no guest presentations for this meeting, so we'll move on to our departmental report and start out with human resources. We, again, for the month of for the month of September, we had, between our non-cert and our certified staff, we had 47 hires, which is great to see. And we had quite a few less retirement, resignation, and leave of absence, so we hired more people than left the district, so that's great. We look at our HR departmental updates. Our HR team is really committed to recruitment efforts, as demonstrated by their attendance at a mini hiring fair in Cloquet, and then also they have a presence at the monthly Career Force hiring events in Duluth through January. And at these events, we're really looking to add employees on our non-certified side. On Wednesday, September 25th, our HR staff members did some professional development at the Law Arbitration Conference in Minneapolis, and this is important because it keeps our staff up to date in labor law and labor arbitration. Our HR staff has also been conducting site visits so that we can be in the schools providing employees with support and address any of their HR-related inquiries. And then also we've been diligently processing a significant volume of lane changes, somewhere between 175 and 200 for teachers and certified staff. And I'm just going to give Executive Director Severance a minute to talk about lane changes.
Thank you. So every year we have an opportunity for our certified staff to submit any coursework that they have done over time that would allow them to move up in their lane change. So we have a bachelor's degree, of course, is upon entry, but then there's a plus 15 credits, plus 30 credits, all the way up to a doctorate. So each year they have that opportunity to submit, and not every teacher each year, of course, has the time to do increase, but this year we had a significant increase in the amount that we've received. So as noted here, almost 200.
And that's really great news for our kids and our families because this demonstrates that our certified staff is continuing their professional development so they can serve our kids in our classroom much better. When we think about benefits, our 2024-2025 new hire enrollment period has concluded. We've been working on streamlining the processes, reducing paperwork, and making any benefits orientation more accessible to our staff by allowing them to access it through Google Classroom. And in this Google Classroom, our staff has access to all the information that's required for available benefits, any resources they need on FMLA, workers' compensation, physician documentation, retirement plans, medical leaves, and any employee assistance programs. We've also been working hard to take our transition to digital enrollment forms from Laserfish. So what we're trying to do is digitize our HR documentation to help serve our district and our school in a more streamlined process. And to further support our new hires, we've hosted benefit information at the District Service Center. We're at schools with our HR so we can offer open forums to staff to talk about retirement planning, benefits, and other HR-related topics. They've been to several schools. We've had 8 visits that are coming up in this next week, and we are getting ready for our fall open enrollment, which will start in early November. Looking at page 3, you can see where we have hiring updates for teachers, non-certified staff, and we are busy working on our final group to negotiate, which is our district-wide Instructional Administrators Association. So we look to see having a meeting with them in October. They're working on finalizing that date. Is there anything that I left out, Executive Director Severance?
Nope, you covered it well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions from the school board members? Awesome. Moving on to our business services, we have our enrollment report for the month of October. As a reminder to the public, we build our budget on a per pupil basis, and this year we built our budget on 8,068, and we are happy to report our enrollment for this month was 8,195.92 students. So we look to see increases in our enrollment as compared to our budget. So it's great to see those enrollments back. Do we have any questions from the board on enrollment? Yes, Member Banks.
Thank you. Would you explain the 494 students? What does that mean? That's just popped out there.
That is just a sum of the open enrolled resident students, part-time resident students, and average enrollment of 0.25 or less. So it's in that a yellow box there, and it explains that. So it's just a sum of those. We're providing the sum of those, of that information for you.
It just seemed like it was something different, so I just wanted to get
okay.
that. I have a request, if this is possible, because we have the Duluth Adult Education Program that's a part of ISD 709. I think it would be great to have some kind of addendum with regard to their students. So if we can have something like that as an addendum to this, that would be helpful.
So to be cleared to add their enrollment?
Yes.
Yes, we can do that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on from our enrollment report, we'll move on to child nutrition. We can look over, we have a comparison in our sheets on summer meal programs over the last 10 years. And you can see where the pandemic was. You can see that huge increase when we had that during the pandemic, and you can look for both breakfast and lunch. And of note, for our summer 2024 meals, because Lowell was under construction, we did not have Lowell as a meal site, so that probably would affect the number of children that we serve for our summer meal programs. We had our summer meal audit. We had a 3-day visit from the USDA summer meal program that was completed on July 31st, August 1st and 2nd. We had very minimal findings. It was great. The auditors came in and gave us some program mentorship, and the auditor was complimentary of our meal program and impressed with the vast array of fresh produce that we are able to offer our children. And I do know over the years we have received several grants that allow our children to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And as part of the free breakfast and lunch program here in the state of Minnesota, our students have access to as much fruits and vegetables associated with their lunch. It's been important that the district has sent out to inform our parents about the changes in the child nutrition. We've sent out postcards, and I did receive one of those postcards. Did you get one too, Member Sadowski? Yep, we got our little postcards in the mail to talk about lunch and breakfast being free again this year. And then also the importance of filling out our application for educational benefits. And then lastly, our child nutrition department has moved on from pay PAMs, and now we use, parents are allowed to pay for their meal portion in Infinite Campus. Do we have any questions on the child nutrition departmental report?
I'm just noticing that is a significant drop from 23 to 24 for summer breakfast, or for breakfast. I'm looking at August specifically. Maybe that's because it's towards the end. Is that all attributed to Lowell not serving, or?
No, I can't explain why.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
It is,
because if
I've noticed that as well, too.
Yeah.
And it could be a little bit of a demographic, or logistics. It could be a little bit of a logistics issue. I can follow up with Sheila and ask.
Yeah, because even the lunches. But yeah, okay.
Great. As we move on to facilities departmental report, we want to thank our facilities people for completing for our facilities maintenance crews for completing several work orders. We have a lot of work in capital and construction going on. The Myers-Wilkins gym shoring and bracing is in place to support the exterior wall and roof. Just a quick question here. Are they back? Are the Myers kids, are they back in their gym?
They are not
Okay.
back in the gym. We are trying to explore getting a temporary wall or some other mechanism that we can get them to utilize the portion that won't be under the repair. We are hopeful that we can start repairs as early as next week, because we were able to do it under emergency process, and we have been meeting with ICS, as well as I think the contractor meeting is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon to make a determination how we're going to be moving forward, but they are not yet able to use the gym in its current state.
So they have some good alternative experiences for the kids in gym. I'm sure they've taken care of all of those pieces. Anthony, do you know what they're doing for gym over at Myers? Are they
I think they're
outside?
using a lot of the outside
Are they?
equipment because the
Great.
weather has cooperated, but we know we expect that repair is going to be couple of months, that we're going to have to look into what do we do in the winter.
Yeah.
I know there's been some creative thoughts about outdoor tents and what we might be able to do, getting grants for snow equipment for those that may not have it. And then also looking at potentially if there's a temporary wall we can put up into the inside gym so that it can still be used, the one half of it could be used while the repairs are underway.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that you're all thinking about how we get our little wee ones to burn off their exercise, and that's important. It's very important for them, so thank you. Myers Wilkins, we're working with Northland Engineering. ICS is helping us out, so we're pleased with them. We're also dealing with the city of Duluth for permitting, and we've been in contact with our insurance company. So that's great news about what's going on at Myers, so thank you for that. The Lower Mac water main is repaired, so we have the full system is flushed. Dead trees at East will be removed later this month with Rick's Tree Services, and the Myers-Wilkins chiller coil has been replaced. So it's great to see our maintenance crew keeping our buildings up and ready for our students. I do want to take a minute, as it was noted in our report this month, that we would like to extend our congratulations to a couple of individuals who stepped into the role of engineers. So Julie Brunn at Myers-Wilkins, Eric Johansson at Lowell, some second shift engineers, Scott Grigling at Lormac, Dale McRae at Lakewood, Jack Davis at Stowe, and Scott Goldfine at Piedmont. We're so happy that they're there. Brian Bedlin at Lowell, Mitch Kinnear at East, our custodians, Laurel Bakken at Denfeld, and Ron Benson as a floating custodian. We'd also like to announce that Liam Sears has successfully passed his special boiler license examination. So that's great that we are keeping our maintenance staffed. And I'd like to ask Executive Director Severance, do you think a lot of these changes and increase in engineers, second shift engineers, also our custodians and our boilers is because you worked very hard with the union to revamp and make some of these educational opportunities available?
Yes, in particular, our second shift engineers working with the union and getting some of the reductions to the state minimums that allowed for folks that did have licensure to be able to apply for promotional positions. So for sure that. And I think just the additional work that not only our facilities and operations crew, but also our HR staff have been doing about pushing these jobs and being out there, making sure we're recruiting for these custodial positions, as well as a settling of a contract that did have some increases in pay has definitely helped as well.
I want to thank you for that work, and I know the work coming to looking at how we can offer these opportunities to our facilities employees. This has been work, and we're seeing the fruition come, so I want to thank you for that. Do we have any questions from our board members?
Thank you. I have a quick question regarding Myers-Wilkins and the gymnasium. I know the situation was under investigation, according to what I had heard on like one of the local TV stations. Has the investigation concluded, or I'd like to know if what is going to come from that, or if anything. I haven't seen anything, nor have I heard anything. So is it still under investigation, or is it completed?
I am not sure if it's still under investigation, and I am also not sure if we would be receiving any final information related to that, if there was any action taken against the driver. I'm not sure that that would be information that would come to us, but I can look into it to see what information they would be sharing.
Thank you. Moving on to our technology departmental report as we wait for Bart to come up. Talk about how great our boardroom is working now, our AV here now.
Thank you. Actually, the boardroom is working really well for streaming. I have to do a couple replacements on the Chromecast because if the Chromecast is broadcasting, it stops the video it displays on the boardroom. So it has been working really well for streaming, which is, it's been a long time, but it is finally working. For the September technology report, you can see pretty much everything is increased, and that's, expected because all the staff are coming back and students are coming back. Emails, spoofing, rejections, phishing, active accounts is up. We still have a number of students that haven't turned in their blended learning, so their accounts aren't enabled. And it's not 4,900, it's less than that, but those are all the accounts that, from staff that have retired in the past, this summer and stuff like that as well, and all our 12th grade students. And for the E-rate bids, RFPs, we have 2 of them actually that are out there on the USAC website. So those are available to anybody who wants to bid on those services. The first one I'm expecting to come back in around $170,000. They'll be coming in, and they're due on November 19th. And the second one is for uninterruptible power supplies, and I'm thinking that'll be around 40,000, so it's much smaller. But that's using up our Category 2 E-rate fundings from this last year on there. And then the cybersecurity services, it's more of like a grant or a wish. So I have that stuff ready, but I have to revise it because I thought we'd be giving them a bid of exactly what we want. But it's more of what would you want? And we'll take a look at it to see if you qualify. I believe there's $200 million for the next 3 years for the cybersecurity pilot program, which isn't a whole lot of money. So it's it's all schools, public schools, all libraries across the country. So it's really not a whole lot of money, but I think they're looking at gauging an interest of, is this really needed for K-12 schools?
Bart, can you remind me, how much did you say the bid 1324? How much?
The value, I'm guessing, should be 170,
Okay.
and it's for a 1-year term on that.
Okay. And then as we come back to the USACE rates cybersecurity pilot program, I'm glad to see that the federal government might be dipping their toe in the water to figure out how to support K through 12 public education in districts. Because as we know, as we have this more heavy reliance on technology, as we teach students for the next generation of work, that just exposes us to a whole heck of a lot of malintent by outside actors. And it is difficult. I'm sure we work very hard to keep our private data secure. And so I'm glad to see that there is at least now some work thinking about having the government help us and maybe take some of that burden off of our finances so that we have access for, other things. I know that our cyber insurance goes up every year after year after year, regardless of the training that we do. So I'm glad to see that we may be able to get some help as we try to protect the data of our students and families.
Right. And like that first one, that bid 1325, the value in that annually is $116,000. And that's for our firewall, just protect our staff and student and our data.
Yeah, that's an interventionist,
So,
about 116, right? I mean, give or take some. Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
next one is the tickets. We had received 846 tickets that were created. We closed 853. We still have 368 tickets. I looked today and I think we're at 414, which is pretty normal for the start of school. In the next 2 weeks, that number should go down quite a bit to the normal amount, which is around that 300 tickets average. The next one is said about the CDWG team was on site, the CTI team, and they actually did the programming, and this has been fixed. I'm happy to report that.
Bart, in the expenditure contracts, I noticed there was a CWD government LLC payment of around $10,000. Did that have something to do with this room?
I would have to look up exactly what it
Okay.
is because we have a lot of services through CDWG right now. They installed a lot of switches this summer.
Okay.
We have a contractor, actually a network engineer, CDWG contractor.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
In the office as well.
So I was just wondering, I'm sure that just how they're going to support us as we've gone through this whole journey with this room, what that looks like for us, the financial impact of that.
Yeah, for all the work that they've done, we only paid them the one-time fee up front.
great. Okay.
Last year and a half ago, 18 months ago. We haven't paid them really
Okay.
since for this.
For this piece
Yep,
of it.
the board,
Okay.
yep.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Bart?
I would like, Mr. Smith, we have two positions that we have started reviewing applications for. Could you share with the committee the nature of those two positions that are essential for the technology department?
Yeah, the first one is a network engineer two. We've had that position for many years. We haven't been able to fill that position since March, but we're hoping we'll get some applicants on that as well. And it just actually closes today. And I believe we have roughly half a dozen or a dozen applicants on that. And the next position we added, we took the network administrator and added the architect duties. So it's a higher end network person
Oh, yeah, I think
to support.
we saw that come through this committee, didn't we? Some of those. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and that one also has a good number of candidates as well, so we'll be hoping to set up interviews. I'll work with HR to get interviews going on that right away, so we can see if we can get someone hired.
That's great. I'm sure one of the problems with filling those positions is probably competitive pay. I'm sure they can probably make more in the private sector than they can in the public sector.
They have.
Yeah.
That's why they have left.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I appreciate it. Do we have any questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. We appreciate you. Moving on to the transportation report. It's great to see the staffing. We still have some concerns in staffing, but we're still working hard with HR to get those positions filled. We have had interviews with the helper and 2 drivers, and our helper is due to start mid-October, and our driver is in the background check stage. So that's great to hear. Our buses, our mechanics are working hard on our buses when they're not covering for our sick drivers. And our oldest bus is 2012, and then we have a bus at 2014, but we have 2 brand-new buses that we got this year, so that's awesome. Do we have any questions on transportation? Awesome. Moving on to our recommended resolutions. We have some resolutions having to do with donations for our Duluth Public Schools, donations from the Greater Denfeld Foundation for Denfeld. District-wide, our UDAC Board of Directors, the UDAC Board of Directors, district-wide, the family of David Buckheit, and then district-wide from Penny Turcott, Laura Bethany, several going to Lormac, several going to Piedmont, several going to Stowe, so that's great, and we thank our community for these donations. Next, we have a resolution of acceptance of grant awards. We love to see this. An Ordine Foundation grant to Piedmont for around $10,000 from Jason Goulet to provide sensory equipment to support both special education and general education students from our little preschoolers all the way up to our 5th graders. And from Voya Unsung Heroes, again from Jason Goulet at Piedmont, somewhere between $2,000 to $25,000 to provide more sensory supports and equipment for our students at all ages at Piedmont Elementary. Do we have any questions on any of our resolutions for the board meeting? Moving on, these next items we'll be talking about for our consent agenda. We have our staffing report, and it's great to see all those appointments. Next, we have a job description, and this is important for our attendance coordinator paraprofessional. We know this year in the state of Minnesota, we have quite a bit, the Department of Education has quite a bit of work towards students showing up for attendance for school. So I will turn it over to Executive Director Severance to talk to us about this position.
Thank you. This is a new position, working at the Denfeld High School, and working a lot with staff as well as community to work on the attendance and how do they reach out to families and be that liaison and help ensure the attendance. So you can see kind of their responsibilities. They'll be coordinating the attendance action team with other staff members. They'll work with staff and attend community meetings to make sure that that communication is out there, and do some intervention with families, home visits, also work with partners across the city and the county to make sure that we can do that. And just to note, this is a new position, but it is a grant-funded position. So we were able to create this position specifically with an MDE grant that the community schools wrote around attendance. So this is a grant-funded position.
And you said by the community schools?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And I'm assuming that they'll interface quite a bit with our Check and Connect program in Denveld, I would assume, for this attendance paraprofessional?
On some level.
Yeah.
Students, they support, we are encouraging attendance, but not just specific.
Not just, okay. It's going to be school-wide.
It is school-wide.
Okay, great. Do we have any questions?
Just a
Member
quick question.
Banks.
Will that person be intersecting with the community engagement person?
Yes, because the community engagement specialist, Shalon Monroe, she also has a priority area of work that focuses on increasing attendance, especially for our marginalized communities and populations. So there will be definitely some collaborative opportunities for them to work together and expectations to do so.
Great, moving on to our finances. We have our financial report for this October meeting. Everything looks like it should. Do we have any questions? Great. Next, we have our fundraisers, and I love looking at our fundraisers. So East cheerleaders at East raised $2,500 from the Duluth Coffee Company fundraiser. Ordine East, the library, $1,500 at a Scholastic Book Fair. And Community Education, or Key Zone, at $4,000, Pies in the Face fundraiser with thermometer goals for scholarship. I think that might be my favorite one, Pie in the Face. Do we have any questions on any of our finance report or our fundraisers? Moving on, we have no bids, RFP, or quotes, and we have no contracts, change orders, or leases. So we move on to miscellaneous. This is just informational item, requires no work for us as a school board. We have a supplemental life insurance rate increase. Executive Director Severance, would you like to explain this for us?
Yes, so supplemental life is something that we offer our employees to purchase on their own, in addition to the district supplied life insurance. So there's a slight increase to the supplemental, and we are communicating that with anybody within the organization that already currently has this, but it will go up slightly starting January 1 with our open enrollment move.
Great, thank you. Next, we have our expenditure contracts, and we have quite a few expenditure contracts throughout the entire district. So feel free to take a look at those. I don't believe there's anything of super note on that. 26, 27. And then moving on to our no-cost contracts somewhere. We have several no-cost contracts as well. And then lastly, we have our revenue contracts, with just one this month, having to do with Arrowhead Regional Corrections and Arrowhead Juvenile Center. And then lastly, we have some grant applications. And our grant applications are a collaborative grant with St. Louis County, Caitlin Jamar. This is a grant for $250,000. It's an intent to apply for funding through the St. Louis County Protective Factors Project. It's important in supporting families and community engagement initiative models after the Parent Institute for Quality Education. This project is designed to address the grant goals of enhancing parent engagement and community involvement while also strengthening the protective factors that contribute to the well-being and success of children and families in our community by administering a needs assessment. We also have a grant, Adam Wasau, I can never say this one, Wasaki, thank you, from the Hospitality Minnesota Education Foundation for about $8,400 for the Duluth East Culinary Arts CTE program. This funds will be going to purchase a Serve Safe exam ticket for students to get industry-recognized credentials. That's great, so that our students can get some credentials in high school, so when they go out, they have these credentials. That's wonderful use of a grant application. That's great. We also have Cal Harris from Lormac and OEE for $1,400 for the Legacy and Macmillan Grant for student transportation subsidy to the state capitol and the Mille Lacs Indian Museum and Trading Post. Those are our grant applications for September. Do we have any questions? Great. If there are no other questions, that concludes our HR Business Services Committee meeting for the month of October.